Hi friends, welcome to Venky's channel. If you haven't watched the previous videos, check the link in the description. Before starting today's class, let's have a small recap of the previous class. In the previous class, we learned the small friend concept. Now let's try the basic example, which is 4 plus 1. First we have to represent 4 on the abacus. Now we have to add 1. We know that the formula for addition is minus friend plus boss. So 4 is the friend of 1. So we have to subtract 4 and add the boss, which is 5 in small friend. Now we get the answer as 5. Let's try a 2-digit example using small friend. 43 plus 22. First we have to represent 43 and now we have to add 22. For that, first we have to add 2 on the tens rod. The friend of 2 is 3. So we have to subtract 3 and add the boss, which is 5. And now same thing in the ones rod. We have to add 2. The friend of 2 is 3. So we subtract 3 and add the boss, which is 5. So we get 43 plus 22 as 65. Now let's try subtractions. The formula for subtraction is plus friend minus boss. Let's try 6 minus 3. 6, and now we have to subtract 3. The friend of 3 is 2. So first we have to add 2 because it's plus friend, and we have to subtract the boss, which is 5. So we get 6 minus 3 as 3. Now let's try a double digit example. Let's try 76 minus 43. For that, first we have to represent 76 and now we have to subtract 43. For that, first we have to subtract 4 from the tens rod. The friend of 4 is 1. So we add 1 because plus friend and subtract 5 because minus boss. And now we have to subtract 3 from the ones rod. The friend of 3 is 2. So we add 2 because plus friend and subtract 5 because it's minus boss. So we get 76 minus 43 as 33. Whatever we do in the ones rod, we have to do the same thing in the tens rod. There is no difference between doing in ones rod and doing in tens rod and the small friend concept. Now we can do additions only up to the number 5 in small friend. Both the digits should be less than 5 in small friend addition, and both the digits should be less than 10 in small friend subtraction. But what if there are more than 5 in addition or more than 10 in subtraction? In such cases, we use the big friend. So let's learn the big friend concept. First, we need to learn which number is the boss and which numbers are friends in big friend. In big friend, always 10 is considered as the boss. Now let's learn which two numbers are friends. 1 and 9 are friends of each other, which means 1 is the friend of 9 and 9 is the friend of 1. 8 and 2 are friends of each other. Similarly, 7 and 3 are also friends of each other. 6 and 4 are friends of each other. 5 and 5 are friends of each other. To try additions and subtractions with big friend, first it's compulsory to learn which two numbers are friends. Without learning this or without memorizing this, you can't go for additions or subtractions. Now let's try some additions using the big friend. The formula for addition and subtraction doesn't change from small friend to big friend. So the formula is same. Let's try the first example, which is 9 plus 1. First we have to represent 9 on the abacus. And now we have to add 1. We have to always take the friend of the second number and not the first number. The friend of 1 is 9. The formula for addition is minus friend plus boss. So first we have to do minus friend. 9 is the friend of 1. So we have to subtract 9 and add the boss, which is 10. So 9 plus 1 is 10. Let's try the next example, which is 6 plus 4. First we have to represent 6 on the abacus. Now we have to add 4. The friend of 4 is 6. So we have to subtract 6 and add 10 because 10 is the boss. So the answer is 10. Now let's do 7 plus 4. First we have to represent 7 on the abacus. And now we have to add 4. The friend of 4 is 6. So we have to subtract 6 and add 10 because 10 is the boss. So 7 plus 4 is 11. Let's try 3 plus 8. First we have to represent 3 and the friend of 8 is 2. So we have to subtract 2 because 2 is the friend and add 10 because 10 is the boss. So 3 plus 8 is 11. Let's try 2-digit examples. 73 plus 17. First we have to represent 73 on the abacus. And now we have to add 17. For that, first we have to add 1 on the tens rod and 7 on the ones rod. Here we have to use the big friend concept. The friend of 7 is 3. So we have to subtract 3 because minus friend, and we have to add 10 because 10 is the boss. So now we can see that the number is 90 on the abacus. So the answer is 90. Now let's start the next example, which is 22 plus 18. First we have to represent 22 on the abacus and now we have to add 18. For that, first we have to add 1 on the tens rod and 8 on the tens rod. Now we have to use the big friend concept. The friend of 8 is 2. So we have to subtract 2 because minus friend and add 10 because 10 is the boss. So 22 plus 18 is 40. Now let's go for subtractions. The formula for big friend subtraction also doesn't change. It's the same, which is plus friend minus boss. Let's try the first example, 10 minus 5. First we have to represent 10 and minus 5. The friend of 5 is 5 only. So we have to add 5 because plus friend and subtract 10 because minus boss. So 10 minus 5 is 5. Let's try the next example, which is 10 minus 4. First we have to represent 10 on the abacus and now we have to subtract 4. The friend of 4 is 6. So we add 6 because plus friend and subtract 10 because it's minus boss. So 10 minus 4 is 6. Now let's try the next example, which is 10 minus 3. First we have to represent 10 and subtract 3. The friend of 3 is 7. So we add 7 because plus friend and subtract 10 because minus boss. Now 10 minus 3 is 7. Let's try the next example, which is 10 minus 2. First we have to represent 10 on the abacus and subtract 2. The friend of 2 is 8. So we add 8 and subtract the boss, which is 10. So 10 minus 2 is 8. Let's try 10 minus 1. First we have to represent 10 on the abacus. And now we have to subtract 1. The friend of 1 is 9. So we add 9 and subtract 10 because 10 is the boss. So 10 minus 1 is 9. Now using the same concept, let's try 2-digit subtractions. First one is 71 minus 13. For that we have to represent 71 on the abacus and subtract 13. For that, first we have to subtract 1 from the tens rod and 3 from the ones rod. Here we have to use the big friend concept. The friend of 3 is 7. So we add 7 because plus friend and subtract 10 because 10 is the boss. So the answer is 58. Now let's try the next example, which is 80 minus 25. First we have to represent 80 on the abacus and subtract 25. First we have to subtract 2 from the tens rod. And now we have to subtract 5 from the ones rod. But there are no beats on the ones rod. But no problem, because we have to add the friend because it's plus friend. The friend of 5 is 5 only. So we add 5 and subtract the boss, which is 10. So the answer is 55. Now let's try 91 minus 12. First we have to represent 91 on the abacus. And we have to subtract 12. For that, first we have to subtract 1 from the tens rod and 2 from the ones rod. The friend of 2 is 8. So we add 8 and subtract 10 because 10 is the boss. Now 79 is our answer. The same concept applies to hundreds rod, thousands rod, and so on. Here, for example, if 1 and 9 are friends, 10 and 90 will be friends when we are adding hundreds. 100 and 900 will be friends when we are adding thousands. Similarly, it will go on till lakhs and more. Tomorrow we'll be learning a new concept, which is big family. Bye friends, let's meet in the next video.